You know, in the world of AI, you see big deals all the time. But every once in a while, a deal comes along that just changes everything. And that's what we're talking about today. A partnership so huge, it's literally going to reshape the tech world as we know it. So let's dive right in.
Yeah, look at that number. $100 billion. I mean, just take a second to let that sink in. This isn't just another investment. This is a colossal bet on the future, a handshake between two absolute giants, OpenAI and Nvidia.
And you know what's wild? This whole historic deal wasn't hammered out in some stuffy boardroom with a bunch of bankers. Nope. It came down to these two guys, one-on-one. You've got Sam Altman on the left, the CEO of OpenAI, yeah, the ChatGPT folks, and on the right, Jensen Huang, the CEO of Nvidia, the company making the chips that are basically the engine for this entire AI revolution. Just the two of them.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this $100 billion handshake. What does it actually mean when two powerhouses like this team up and concentrate so much money and influence in one place?
And believe me, when we say titans, we are not kidding. The scale here is just mind-blowing. You've got Nvidia sitting at the top as the world's most valuable public company, pushing a $4.5 trillion market cap. Then you have OpenAI, the hottest startup on the planet, valued at $500 billion. You put them together, you've created a center of gravity in the tech world that is just completely unprecedented.
So what's the grand plan here? What are they going to do with all this? Well, Sam Altman himself kind of dropped a hint, saying you should expect a lot from us in the coming months. He broke it down into three things: amazing AI research, awesome products, and solving what he calls an unprecedented infrastructure challenge. And honestly, that last part, that challenge, that's the real key to this whole thing.
Which begs the question, right? How on earth does a deal this big happen so fast? Let's pull back the curtain and look at how this incredibly high-stakes partnership was actually forged. So why the rush? Why this much money right now? Well, OpenAI's CFO, Sarah Friar, laid it out plain and simple. Their biggest issue is being, and I quote, constantly under compute. Think about that. They are literally starving for the horsepower they need to build and run the next big AI models. So this deal, it's about survival for sure, but it's also about some serious ambition.
And that desperation for more power, it lit a fire under the negotiations. Things really kicked into high gear in early September 2025. Altman and Huang met up at this big global leaders summit in the UK, and from there it was just a total whirlwind. We're talking one-on-one meetings in London, San Francisco, DC, a flurry of late-night calls, and then, boom, the deal was signed on September 22nd, literally just hours before Altman had to hop on a plane. Incredible.
Okay, so obviously you don't just write a check for $100 billion. It doesn't work like that. To handle an investment this massive, they had to get really smart with the structure. They decided to break it down into pieces, or tranches.
So here's the breakdown. Step 1. Nvidia puts in an initial $10 billion at a $500 billion valuation. But that's just the start. After that, there are 9 more $10 billion rounds lined up. And here's the really clever part. Each of those new rounds gets priced at whatever OpenAI's valuation is at that moment. It's like Nvidia is just continuously topping up the fuel tank as the rocket ship gets faster.
And the way they did this was just as wild as the deal itself. It was just the two CEOs talking directly. No bankers, no middlemen. And maybe the craziest detail, Microsoft, OpenAI's biggest shareholder and main cloud partner, they only found out about it a day before it was signed. This thing was kept under some serious lock and key, a truly high-stakes secret.
Right, so a deal of this magnitude doesn't just happen in a bubble. It's like dropping a boulder in a pond. The ripples go everywhere. This is a massive AI power play, and now OpenAI has to juggle this incredibly complex web of partners all around the world.
And check out this new map of alliances. It's fascinating. Nvidia is now the preferred partner, but notice, not exclusive. Microsoft is still a huge shareholder, but they're no longer the only game in town for cloud services. Then you've got Oracle waiting in the wings with its own gigantic $300 billion compute deal kicking off in 2027, and SoftBank is in the mix for money and manufacturing. It's like a game of 4D chess, a super delicate balancing act.
So how do you keep all these plates spinning? Well, it turns out it all fits under one giant, incredibly ambitious umbrella project. The code name? Stargate. Yeah, pretty epic. This idea started in talks with SoftBank. But now, Stargate is the official name for OpenAI's entire long-term infrastructure plan. It's the grand vision tying all of these monster deals together.
Okay, Which brings us to maybe the most important question of all. We've talked about the cash, we've talked about the power players, but what are they actually gonna build with $100 billion? What's the real, tangible goal of Stargate?
And that question leads to another one, a really big one that has every executive in Silicon Valley buzzing right now. Is OpenAI about to become its own cloud provider? Are they planning to go head-to-head with the giants like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google?
Well, the plans definitely point in that direction. The goal? A mind-boggling 10-gigawatt build-out of AI supercomputing centers. They've already looked at over 700 possible locations for this stuff. The end game is to have enough juice to train their own next-gen models, and this is the key part, have enough left over to maybe launch their own commercial cloud service in the next year or two. It's a clear shot at total compute independence.
So when you boil it all down, what's the big takeaway here? Look, this is so much more than a business deal. This is a massive consolidation of power that is absolutely going to define the next decade of tech. And it leaves us with one really critical question to think about. As these two companies gain this kind of unbelievable control over the very foundation of AI, who really gets to decide what happens next? Who shapes the future?